Welcome to the Wrexham Coffee Matchup. I'm Dave.
And I'm Courtney. Each week, we'll take a few minutes to catch up on the latest news from Wrexham. From matchups to transfers, on and off the pitch, we'll share our takes on it all.
So grab a coffee and join us.
Hey, Dave, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Can you believe it's already started? Yes.
I can and I can't. I think 2025 was about 10 years long.
It was, but as a Wrexham fan, we ended up in a really good spot at the end of 2025, and we've started 2026 in really good
With a
form.
bang.
Wouldn't you agree? With a bang. With a bang.
Yes, we kicked off the year in style, that's for sure.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, last week, I had asked the question, what does it look like when Moore is not available to play, given that he's the big counterpart of our formation? And we got to see very quickly what that looked like, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, just because, he's injured. Is there any update on how long he's out with this leg injury?
I just know that they said soon.
Yeah.
It's not a very, very serious, but they had thought that Windass would be out for a while, and he was only out for the one match. So hopefully it's a quick recovery. And I know there's no league match this week, so how they decide to address the FA Cup match, we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. But fingers crossed that he's quickly back. But it's good to know that we were able to adjust the team.
Yeah.
And really kind of change our style, because we had seen Sam Smith start when Moore was injured earlier in the season. And I remember we both were not overly impressed with the team's performance as a whole during that match. Not that it was anyone's fault.
I was going to say, I think that was so long ago that it was just at that time where the team didn't feel like it had clicked yet.
It had not clicked yet. And so it was really nice to see first that, we tried this new lineup with Smith up front, and then Rathbone and Dobson and O'Brien all supporting him. And really seemed to, right off the bat, it seemed to have addressed the issue that we've been having in the last couple matches, where we were lacking responsive speed. Mm-hmm. And I felt like for the first time during the Blackburn match that we were the ones giving the speed, and we were the ones kind of like making the quick breaks and taking the opportunities. And so it was a really nice way to see that. And then we got to see a variation on Sunday, where Smith was still up front, but this time it was Broadhead and Windass in supporting him. And that was a really nice difference to see as well, sort of the way it played off each other.
Yeah, I think it was good to see the differences in the options that are available. On a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous were you when you knew Moore wouldn't be starting?
I would say it was a good 7 or 8, just because we've had some hiccups throughout the season where things have gone well, and then we've kind of had to take a step back and then rebuild again. And coming off of 2 wins, it's like we wanted that momentum to continue, but we were still in that 4 matches in 10-day window. So I think I was nervous about it, but the nervous went away very, very quickly in the first few minutes of the match against Blackburn.
Yeah, I think going into the match, I was probably at a 5 in terms of worriedness. But yeah, I think the fact that really the way that the team has played, especially in the last few months, but I mean, really all season, has really been centered around Moore. So yeah, I was a bit nervous, but I felt like we had a really strong starting lineup. And actually that turned out to be the case. And we won 3 in a row for the first time since back in April of last year. So that was really nice. I believe this was Ollie Rathbone's first start of the season. Is that right?
I think so. Yes. He's been in before, but I think this was his first time coming in from the start. Yeah.
And he was born in Blackburn, which I learned thanks
Yes.
to Mark Griffiths.
And that his father played, I guess, played professionally as well, and is a famous
Yeah,
player. So yeah, that's kind of nice. The hometown boy comes in and not just does well, but just really kind of set the place on fire. I
yeah,
mean, he really, I mean, everyone gave it their all, but Ollie just really, really attacked and
yeah.
scored beautiful,
Absolutely
probably
beautifully.
one of the contenders for goal of the season already, with that hook shot that he made and right at the
It
end of the
was
first half. Yeah.
it was really beautiful, and I think you could feel, I mean, from your home, you could feel the love just pouring out for him in that moment, which I really love to see the or hear the cheers of Ollie, Ollie, Ollie.
Yeah. So what I did make an observation sort of is that this was Smith's first full start in quite a while,
Mhm.
but unlike the previous time he started where he had been playing a minute or 5 minutes or 6 minutes.
10. Yeah.
Yeah. The match before, he had played the whole second half, right? And
Mhm.
so he has had significant time on the field with everybody. They've had these multiple weeks of practicing together as a team, probably trying to address this issue of like, what do
Yeah.
we do if Moore's not available? So I felt like Smith really came into his own in
Yeah.
this match as well as during the Derby match, because he just took control like he did when he came into the team back in January of 2025. It took
Mhm.
a little bit of time, but as soon as he made his mark, he continued to make his mark over and over and over again. And so I think he really showed what he's capable of doing,
Yeah.
and he just highlighted the depth of the squad that we have,
Mhm.
because we do have options, and we have options in most positions at this moment, which is
Yeah.
it's a good luxury to have as long as people stay healthy. Right?
That's a really big if. I hate to say it, but it's a really big if.
Yeah. The one point I will make about that, just before we move on to the Derby match, is I mentioned that I was nervous for a moment. This was probably the first match where I felt not at all nervous in the second half about being able to keep our lead and win this match, right? And I think
Because we
that
were already up 2-0.
we were already up 2-0, and Blackburn wasn't responding with anything that were significant, serious challenges.
Yeah.
And I actually think I commented to you at one point during the match that it's very nice of them to give Arthur a vacation,
Yeah.
because he pretty much he made some saves, but
He
he
did.
got to hang out in goal, and he got to kind of just watch the action, and it wasn't a taxing match because he's been through the ringer in the last few months, and
He has.
he has been phenomenal and probably one of the best players we've seen in a very long time for us. But it was nice to give him a little bit of a break, before we come back with Derby, because as we know, we don't know when Danny Ward will be back,
Yeah.
and we don't know what that process is going to be like, in terms of like who will compete in what roles. So it's good to know that at least he gets a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, for sure. And what we do know about Parky is that he doesn't tend to put somebody back as soon as they're, medically cleared. Now, of course, goalkeeper, that's a special position.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's still some time. And I don't know, how do you make the case that Arthur needs to not play that position when he has
Uh,
played it as well as he's played it the last couple months?
That would be a hard position to argue, I think. Absolutely. I think we'll have to see what happens with the FA Cup and sort of how that process goes, and if we proceed in there, because that
Hmm.
might be the entryway for Danny Ward to
Yeah.
make it back onto the team. And just again, hope that Arthur stays uninjured, because he's had injuries in the last two previous seasons that have put him out for multiple matches. We don't
Hmm.
want that to happen again. That's the last thing we'd ever want to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So do you want to move on to the Derby match on Sunday?
Yeah,
Which
bring us up to 4 wins in a row.
which is an amazing feat. Didn't she say it was back in November, December 2024, which League One
Mhm.
season, which is the
Yeah,
last time we had won four in a row back to back. And I believe
exactly.
I heard Mark mention that this was the first time ever that Wrexham had won four in a row in the second tier. So
Okay.
back when they were in the second tier in the 70s and 80s, they never put four in a row back to back. So
Wow.
So it's, I mean, it's quite a roll that we're on. And
Hmm.
I felt like this one, Derby County was not, they didn't come in, they came in to fight, they came in to
They
win.
did.
And they really, and I think this was a much more evenly matched
Absolutely.
game. And they had a lot of good chances. And I mean, they made a beautiful goal as well. But I think it's just, this was the case again.
Frustratingly beautiful.
Frustratingly, there was nothing anybody could have done about that.
No.
But we had Broadhead sort of at his peak, in that position that he feels the most comfortable in, having opportunities. We had Smith again, sort of leading the way and sort of taking the opportunity and opening the goal, scoring at the beginning.
Hmm.
And then we had probably the most award-winning performance, if we gave out awards for this, of any player,
For
um,
Matty James.
for Matty James. Yeah. Who, I mean, how would you sum up the Matty James performance in the last couple matches?
He has played brilliantly. Right before we've sat down tonight, I rewatched the highlights from the Blackburn match, and actually the Sam Smith goal, the first goal of the match, was um Matty James to Sam Smith.
Yes,
And
that was
like that
beautiful.
was,
It was, yeah.
yes. I mean, I think he has started a lot more the last several matches, and I think he has, shown his worth in that, and he's worth his weight in gold.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Derby did kind of push back in the second half, and they had a number of really good opportunities that I think could
Yes.
have helped level the score. But again, right when we needed that energy, what did we do? We brought on Rathbone and we brought on O'Brien, and
Hmm.
I think that just helped again with the speed. Um, so it's funny because I did rewatch both the highlights from both matches, and in each match, O'Brien, who's wonderfully fast, he's good at making those setups. In each one of those matches,
Yeah.
he had another one of those, make the setup, open goal, or at least open path to the goal, and just not able to close the deal on it. And it's just so painful to watch because that would have just put away the match for us. And you could
Hmm.
see the frustration on his
Yeah.
face again when he missed. Um, but but still, you can't counteract the energy that he brings.
Yeah.
And him and Rathbone together just is so much fun to watch. It was too bad we didn't get to see Dobson in this match because that would have just added even just more pep to the fire.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did have a question for you. So a couple
Okay.
weeks ago, we talked about Max Kluworth. And at that point, Max Kluworth was the only player on the Wrexham squad who had
Hmm.
appeared in every minute of every match,
Yeah.
right? And he was on target, and he's been playing amazingly all season. There's been no fault for anything he's done. So
Hmm.
I was surprised when the Blackburn match that he wasn't in the starting lineup.
Hmm.
And so he was on the bench for the game, but then he ended up not being subbed in during
Hmm.
the match. And so after playing every minute of 24 matches, he didn't play at all in the 25th match. Now he started again on the 25th on Sunday against Derby, and he played the entire match again. So he's played 25 out of the 26 matches. Now it made me curious as to, okay, is he the one who's played the most? Has he played the most number of matches? And it turns out that we have one player, and only one player at this point of the season, who has played in all 26 matches. And so I just wanted to see if you had an inkling of
Ooh.
those few people that we know are possibilities for that, who might have appeared in all 26 matches so far this season.
I have my top. I would imagine that whoever this player is has played fewer minutes than Max
Correct.
Kluth.
Correct.
Okay, I
Correct.
think
Because
I think
yes.
he's unmatched. I think he's unmatched. And actually, when he wasn't in the starting lineup, I was a little bit panicked.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, maybe he just needed a rest day. I mean, he's young.
Yeah, he's
He
young.
can play all those minutes.
Yep.
Um, so only one player has played every match.
Correct. Has
I
appeared
mean,
on
my
the field
inkling
in
is
every match. Yeah.
Dobson.
So Dobson he's made 24 appearances. So
Okay.
he wasn't in the Derby match, and there was one other match that he didn't get called off the bench on. So You need a countdown clock. Boop, boop,
I
boop,
know I'm not gonna,
boop.
I don't think I'm gonna get it.
Okay, so
Um,
you'll be surprised. I'll just put you out of your misery.
okay.
You'll be surprised to know that it was our man of the week, Matty James. He has
Really?
he has appeared in every single match this season, and his minutes has increased as the season has gone on. Obviously, as we can see why. But
I can't believe I did not guess that. I'm wearing his
yeah.
jersey.
Then followed by Ryan Longman, who's made 24 appearances, and then Keiffer Moore and Arthur Aquanco, who've been 23 appearances each. So,
Okay.
yes. Yeah. Interestingly, at 22, but by far less minutes than all the rest of them, is Sam Smith.
Okay.
Because we talked about he made so many of these very short appearances at
Late.
the beginning of
Yeah.
the season. So I have a feeling we'll be seeing definitely more of him as the season goes on. And who knows, maybe at one point we'll actually see him and more together on the field, which would be nice to see. So,
Oh, that would be interesting.
yes.
That would be very interesting. We did have a bit of other news that has happened in the last week, including the fact that Andy Cannon traveled to Blackburn and was on the bench for the first time this season. Did you think that he was going to play?
I thought he might have gotten a few minutes just because, I mean, like you mentioned, so parking normally doesn't bring you right in when you're back from injury. But then he tricked us with Jay Rodriguez, who's now made 3 appearances since he came back, and he came back and he played that first match. So I thought maybe there was an opportunity to get him on the field, but
At
also
the end,
again,
a couple minutes.
but I guess they just didn't really need it at that point
Yeah.
because that was a match, like we said, we were so comfortable in how we were playing, and Andy Cannon's, we were really strong in the midfield there, so maybe he didn't have a role at that moment. But it'd be nice to see him. Hopefully we'll see him before the January transfer window closes, because as we know, we have to have a new roster in February, and who will or won't make that roster will be kind of the topic of discussion in the coming weeks. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It already is.
Already is.
Especially with the news that we heard of today about Paul Mullin, that he is back at Wrexham after his loan to Wigan Athletic has ended.
Yes. So what I found interesting about this is, I mean, people have been talking about bring him back for ever since he left. What I found interesting about this was that Wigan chose to return him from loan. So it was their choice to not continue the season-long loan. So he had made 20 appearances for them, most of maybe half of them in starting, half of them in subs, and scored 4 goals. But for whatever reason, Wigan decided they need to do something different. I also noticed that just the day before, they had another player on loan from Swansea that they also returned. So it could be that this is just their period for refining their strategy. Maybe bringing in these players that they thought were going to shoot them up the table didn't really work. Or just the playing style, or just the meshing of the players. I'm not sure how that works. But he's back, but then it's January, so it's transfer window again. So does he's back mean that another team is interested in him, that there's someone else looking for him to play? Because I think he was clear when he left that he wants to play. He wants minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just doesn't want to be on the bench. And as we talked about, we have such depth right now that
we do.
I don't see how he would fit in here. But hopefully he would fit in elsewhere. They could then make use of him and use him to the great abilities that he had, especially in our National League and our League 2 seasons when he was on fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's interesting because, we mentioned that the transfer window's open, and it's open till February 2nd. There was an interview with Parkinson after the match the other day, and he said that at the moment he's focused on getting the most out of the players that we have. And so bringing in new players maybe isn't the top priority. But I think the eyes are always open to see if there's new players who could come in. But I think the question for us is more, what does it mean for the people who are here?
Yeah.
and who aren't getting time or may not get much time on the field. So, I mean, I made a short list of Elliot Lee, who we're still
Hmm.
waiting to come back from injury, Andy Cannon, who just came back but hasn't had any playing time, Jay Rodriguez, who's been on the bench
Yeah.
and now put in some minutes for us, and then there's Ryan Hardy and Connor Cody, who've had very limited appearances from us
Yeah.
since signing in the summer. So, I mean, is this the time where they go off and pursue other opportunities? Do we sell them? Do we loan them out? So that we can make sure that we solidify who we have that we need every week to get us to keep moving up towards the playoff positions.
And I think that's really something that we have talked about, you and I have talked about before, is that, do we really see a bunch of new players coming in when there were 13 new
Right.
signings over the summer? Now, I realize in that list that you've just mentioned, I mean, there are a couple of players that have more recently joined the team. Um, Connor Cody,
Mhm.
Ryan Hardy. Okay, that leaves a couple of positions. So like you said, keeping an eye out for maybe one or two. But I agree. I mean, I think we're playing very well. I think we have a lot of depth. I think it's always good to keep an eye, keep an ear, but I don't see there being major changes at this point because I mean, we're doing so well. What is it? We're 1 point off of the playoff spots. I mean,
Right. And
yeah,
six
there's a
points
lot.
off of
There's
auto and
there's a
six
lot to
points off
go.
of automatic promotion. I mean, 20 matches to go. So we have a long way to go.
There are
But
a
we're
lot of
not
things that can happen, but we're not in dire straits.
we're not in the lower half of the table. We're not in fear of relegation at the moment.
Yeah,
We're in really solid, and we're peaking or
and in
starting the
great
upward.
spirits.
Yeah, we're on the. I wouldn't even say we're peaking. We're on the upward trajectory right now at the
Yeah.
time when we need to be. And so there's these next 4 months is really where it all comes together, and we see if we can push for playoffs or if we can
Mhm.
push for top two, which would be a wild dream and would make Rob Mack happy because that would be the only thing he ever wanted, right?
So, okay, Rob Mack, social media, that's where this sort of thought train has gone. Did you see about the little goof up by a spouse of someone at Oxford?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't.
So there was a video. I didn't read the full story, but the kind of headline version is there was a video posted and in this video was the list of players that they wanted to target during their transfer window.
Mhm.
And on this list was Ryan Hardy's name.
Okay.
So again, kind of more evidence from our thoughts that of course us not being professionals at anything in this area, but of thinking that yeah, I mean maybe that's the next step for him to be on loan
And,
somewhere.
and I saw on social media over the weekend that he was at a Rangers game, which is Scottish Premier League, and so the
Oh,
question was, are
I
they
was thinking
looking?
baseball.
Oh yeah, but are they looking at bringing him to the Scottish Premier League? Is that an
Okay.
option for him as well? Because there's also been talk of Connor Cody going into coaching and management. So there was
Okay.
talk earlier in this season about
At
I don't know if it
Wrexham
was
or
the Rangers
elsewhere?
or no,
Okay.
the Rangers or someone else wanted to bring him on to their coaching team and would have to buy out his contract in order to do
Right.
that. So it's. I mean, I think we will. What today is what January 5th. By February 2nd, it will be a whole different world of rumors and everything for the transfer window, and 90% of them will probably be wrong. But we
Yep.
can look back afterwards and say, hey, okay, this is where we're at, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then looking a little bit ahead, not so far to February, what do we have up next?
So we're break off of league action this week, which is a nice break after the intense few weeks that we've
Really
had.
intense.
Really intense. But on Friday, January 9th, is our first entry into the FA Cup. It's the third round match against Nottingham Forest. And that will be at the racecourse ground at home. So there was Parkinson was talking about at the end of the Derby match. They asked him what he's looking forward to for this match against Nottingham Forest. And he said since he got to Wrexham, they've been wanting to draw a Premier League team at home. And so this
Okay.
is the first time that they're
This
doing
is
that.
dream.
This is dream. And he said they're going into it with nothing to lose
Yeah.
and everything to gain.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's a great thing. So I think they're going to look at the team this week and just kind of see how we can put out the best team to show that we're not just this scrappy little, National League team anymore. We're now a championship team who's earned the right to be there and
But
take
we're also
on,
we're still pretty scrappy.
we're scrappy, but not in
Not
the
in a
not
bad
in the
way. I mean that in a very positive way. Like we are able to, put together goals and pull out wins or draws that, have felt very, very tense. So I mean it in a very positive way, but I do think we're still
right.
scrappy.
Right. And this will get us a broader audience because
Hmm.
there's a lot of people who watch anytime a Premier League team plays, especially in the FA Cup. So we'll get new eyeballs on Wrexham. So, hopefully we come out with the best foot forward and,
Yeah.
bring that home energy that we do so well. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then we're back to league action on January 17th with Norwich City at home. So we last played them in September where we beat them 3-2. And they're struggling this season. They're down at 22nd. So they're just 2 points out of relegation zone at the moment. So we'll hit back at home and ready to re-enter the league play. I think from January 17th through middle of March, it's a pretty unbroken streak of league matches that we have coming up. So
Yeah, not quite as busy, not quite as many as we've had the last couple of months, which I think is good.
especially
Um,
with all the other things going on, so it gives us time to absorb all the other news and
exactly. Yeah.
and go forward. So
Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
you can also email us at wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com, all one word. That's wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at wxmcoffeematchup.
From the cop to your coffee cup, that's all for today's Wrexham Coffee Matchup. Keep it brewing, keep it red, and as always, up the town.